This conference will now be recorded.
All right, happy Friday. We are at the last day of the first week of trading in October. So October 5th, Friday. So far this morning, almost very similar to almost any single Friday that we're going to see is the pre-market. We don't really get a ton that's going on out there, but we definitely have some good stuff, to look at. But a lot of what we're going to be doing today and looking for coming into the open of the market is based off stories that we had from yesterday. So I know VTVT is running, we'll talk about that in a second, but one of the first things I want to talk about is TLRY. So jumped up a little bit overnight, and the one thing that I want everyone to look at is that we have some really great prints at 153 and 154. And if we come back from yesterday, it did not satisfy those whatsoever on how many prints that came in and how much this stock typically moves. So we're sitting this little consolidation right here, but I am certainly expecting the person that bought, at 153 and 154 to make their money. So there's really not any great prints that came out. It's kind of half-assed from what we're seeing, but I certainly expect us to see, because it did not happen yesterday, for us to be able to break out above those levels. So, like I said, just because we know where it has to go, there's nothing there that says a trade yet. But at the same time, we know where it has to go. So when we get a trigger back towards that upside, that's one of the first things I'm going to be looking at, especially with the range that we see with this constantly. And then the next one, which is another one that really didn't give us anything, and it's really kind of crappy during the pre-market, but at the same time, we know AMRN yesterday had some really great prints at that 20 level, and it just did not pull back as much as we would have ever expected it to. So if we come back over there a little bit earlier this morning, we did get some bid prints that came in at that 20 level. So this is another one, even though it's not really showing us too much yet, it's a story that we know from yesterday that I'm going to be expecting this thing to be able to drop a bunch. Now, I forget the exact number, but I think it was like 1750 or 17 or 18, somewhere in that level. We had bid prints that have not been satisfied underneath this as well. So based off those ask prints that we have on the pullback, and then based off the bid prints that we're seeing today, I'm certainly going to be expecting, after a little bit of a pull up, to get a real nice trigger towards that downside within here as well. So let's talk about VTVT. It had a few prints that came in at 350 around that, right before that 830 point, and we ended up pulling back down right to that print line, and we got some good, decent volume to bring this thing back up. But unfortunately, in order for me to be able to trade this thing, I'm going to need to see something at 4. I mean, it's just at a point where I don't know exactly what's going to happen. It has not given us, any real type of controlling prints. Even though it has all the opportunity in the world, I'm going to need to see something at 4, or the lack of something would show us that we're not going to have any type of trade there. But you know what? It's one of those, it's moving a substantial amount for such a cheap stock. It's just we need to see something more, just because it had some decent buying that came in above that 350 level, and nothing really at that 350 since we came in, but like 815-ish in that area. Just because a stock's moving doesn't mean that we're going to be able to trade it. So until I see something new, it's definitely on our list. I mean, the volume, it's already trading over 1 million shares. But until I see something new, and pretty much I'm looking for at that 4 level to tell us exactly what's going to happen. If it doesn't get to 4, you know what? Not even going to look at it anymore. But at that 4 will definitely tell us if we get it, we need some type of controlling prints within it. Next, moving on, is NBEV. So very interesting in this one. We have great prints at 850. We have great prints at 9. Our overall price target is certainly 10, but it's another one. It just has not really shown us anything that's telling us exactly where it's going to go once the market opens. Now, yeah, we have a print at 9. There's good buying up here. Don't get me wrong, but most of it's coming from a story from yesterday. So we're going to have to see some type of controlling prints that come into it to tell us exactly what's going to happen in the short term. Overall, we all know where we're expecting this thing to go, but we need something to come in to show us that this is what has to happen right this second and what we're going to do with it once that does happen. We need it black and white. Remember, every trade that we need to take has to be black and white. And overall, the overall movement is 100% black and white, but we just don't see anything yet this morning that shows us exactly what it's going to do once the market opens. We definitely need more information. Next one is IGC. Now, IGC is on my side list because of the fact that I can't short it, and it's almost impossible to be able to get shares from it. We had some really great buying that came in, right underneath that 5 level and above that 5 level, but nothing at the actual 5 level itself to tell us, these are controlling prints and this is exactly what they're expecting to do. So, it's taken a really big hit. We have a gap down from 2 days ago. So there's a lot of opportunity here, but once again, it's on the side list because it's not showing anything. I don't see anything that tells me this is exactly what's going to happen, and that's all that I care about. 925 got hit with a nice ass prints a couple of times yesterday as well. Yeah, and above there, and even above there, I think it was what, 940? Was it 940? I think it was 940, but either way, there's a ton of buying. We just need to see something that tells us exactly what's going to happen today. So IGC, once again, there's a lot of opportunity towards that upside, especially with that buying that we saw underneath the 5 and above that 5 level. It's just, it has to show something. It has to give us a perfect show of hand in order for us to trade, especially coming into the morning time. We're going to get perfect trades. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of waiting for it and having that patience to come in. Next one, GTXI. So GTXI, it's pushing a little bit, but once again, I'm not happy with what I saw at that actual 2 level. So we come back down, you can see, there's a lot of above the ask prints. There's a lot of weird prints that came back into it. So it's another one that's going to be on our side list. It's moving a bunch. It's got great volume. So, all the variables there are great. It's just, it has to show us something. And there's, until we get a perfect show of hand, there's no reason to trade something coming into the morning. And as we're talking, TLRY looks like it's going to try to break above that 154. But overall, let's take a look at our scanners. But the scanner is very, very weak this morning. So VTVT, we know about. GTXI, we know about. We have OGEN, 231,000 shares, but there's just nothing there that I really care too much about. Coming up to that 150 level, we have a few prints, which is great. It might be something that you want to look at. There's better things. There's things that have way more of a range and show us way more that I'm going to be paying attention to. GoPro, I could care less about. Its overall range is absolutely disgusting. Nothing for me to focus on. And NBEV, nothing going on there either. And moving over to the loser side of things, very, very weak. KMPH, absolutely not. Nothing there that I care anything about. AYTU, another one, just absolutely disgusting. IGC, we've already spoken about. And then STM, 136,000 shares, but not doing any type of real trading. Does perfect show of hand mean a lot of buying or selling at a certain price? Can't be a ton of buying at different levels, right? No, that's fine. For instance, like NBEV, we have a ton of buying at 850 and a ton of buying at 9. That's fine. What that tells us is that someone's loading up underneath the 9 level and at the 9 level in order to go back up. But I need to see something that shows me definitively this has to happen. Okay, I need to see a position being taken that basically shows if the market maker is not correct, they are fired. Okay, I want to follow the person that will lose their job if their position does not come into fruition. And we've seen it over and over again. That rarely will ever happen from there. All right, anything else out there that I missed? Yes, always a big position. 90% of the time, don't get me wrong, there's some money, there's some big money out there that's dumb. And you'll see, somebody marketing out of a position or something of that nature. But most of the time when we see somebody come in at a controlling level, we're they're not going to be wrong. And the more shares, the better, because that means they're more adamant about what actually has to happen. 1,000 shares kind of position. 1,000 shares in the scheme of things is literally nothing. I want to see, 100,000 shares is pretty much my gateway. When I see 100,000 shares, that means the person has an idea of what they're doing. Okay, don't get me wrong. There's people out, but I want to see a lot of prints. I want to see bursts of prints that tell me exactly what has to happen. All right, guys. So let's get ready for the morning. We have some good stuff to look at. It's just, we need some better show of hands. We have some really good stories. So VTVT is coming up to the 4. Make sure we pay attention to that level, because if we get some new buying that comes into there, that's the only way we're going to be able to trade it. NBEV, we know 850, we know 9. We have great buying up there. We know TLRY is it's at 155 right now, but we knew it had to go up because of the fact that we have great prints on the S side of 153 and 154. And ARWR, great buying at the AMRN. Great buying at that 20 level. We have bid prints at the 20. It did not pull back as much as we would have expected it to, so certainly going to be watching that for a trigger towards that downside. All right, guys. So I'll see everyone in the chat, and happy trading.